Hello, English 1301 students. I have looked through all of the various discussion postings, especially the ones leading up to the research paper that have been posted so far. And so I wanted to give you some notes about how to compile these sections into a complete paper. The earlier postings were asking you to really explore your topic. They were pushing you. Some of you even found them repetitive, and that's because I wanted to keep pushing you to make sure that you identified terms that needed to be defined, concepts that needed to be explained. Who are the experts in the field? What are the institutions and bodies that govern the best practices or the rules and regulations in this area? And so hopefully you've come up with some information. And also, of course, I had to push you to actually do research because students don't want to. They want to just write a research paper based on information that they already know. And that's called an informative essay. It's not a research paper. And so that's just always kind of a bitter pill that students have to swallow. So hopefully you've found some credible sources, and you don't have to use all 5 of the sources that you found in you don't have to use all 5 of those sources in your paper. You should use multiple sources. I'm even reluctant to say how many you should use. It just depends on how many you need. Isn't that great English teacher explanation? But if you use someone's idea, whether you quote it directly or put it in your own words, you've got to document that. And so there's a connection between maybe the little bit of information that you use. Maybe it's a statistic that you didn't gather. You found it in a source. And so when you include that, say, statistic, for example, in your essay, you've got to either mention the author's name in the essay. That's called an attribution. Or use an in-text citation, and sometimes I slip and call it an in-text note, which is a little parenthetical phrase. In the world of MLA, the Modern Language Association, the parenthetical note is made up of the author's last name, a space, and a numeral that refers to a page number. As we use more and more electronic sources, we're having fewer and fewer page numbers. And so it's common sometimes just to see the author's last name in parentheses. Or maybe you just use a global attribution and, as I said at first, mention the author's last name in the sentence. So that you can make that connection between the bit of information that you've borrowed, and you use the in-text, the smaller in-text citation actually in the body of the essay, and it connects to the full citation, the full publishing information that you list at the end of the essay. So that's a major research trifecta in any documentation system you're using. The actual borrowed information, the in-text reference or note or citation, the short one, and then the full publishing information at the end. And different documentation systems have different formats. And I know some of you have probably worked before with APA, the American Psychological Association style. I'm seeing some evidence of that, and I will tell you in my notes or comments. This is the APA world. APA focuses much more on the year of publication than the Modern Language Association does. If we focus on a numeral, it's typically a page number, especially in the in-text note. So please go back and look at your various discussion postings and look at the comments, the private comments that I have made to you, because that should give you some valuable information for actually compiling the final essay. And so I want you to go back and look at these separate pieces, your background information, your explaining your topic first, your background information, your argument and counter argument. Your background information, may include defining terms and such, as I'd mentioned earlier, and it could even summarize your source. Some research papers do that. Not all research papers do. So you have some flexibility in how you actually organize this paper. But remember that it has to contain this element of an argument. So at the end of the paper, you're making some type of recommendation. Your overall purpose with regard to your audience is that you're hoping to influence how they feel, believe, act about the particular subject. And I hope you think back about the original subject that you declared, because you've probably narrowed it quite a bit. It's probably much more specific now than it was at the beginning of this research process, or it should be. Of course, you'll end the actual document with your works cited, which is the proper name of the MLA bibliography. Different documentation systems call their bibliographies by different names. For example, APA calls its bibliography references, but our bibliography here is called Works Cited. And I've created a place on Canvas where you can submit that Works Cited document separately from the essay, but you certainly don't have to. Typically, if we were in a classroom and you were going to print this out, the Works Cited would be the last page of the document. And sometimes a works cited is so complex that it actually encompasses more than one page. And again, to reinforce, you don't have to use all 5 sources, but you should use multiple sources. It's quite possible that you have not even written the introduction of the paper yet. The paper has really just started to, well, not started, but it has just evolved. And so look back and how is it that you can introduce all of this work that you've done that you really didn't, you didn't have the complete picture at the beginning of the process. So let me know if you have any questions about actually compiling the final essay. Remember that this is a third person essay. Don't use I, don't use you. Spell out your contractions. If you're having trouble with any of that, especially the point of view, shoot me a message. I'll be tied to the computer for the next few days, and so I can help you work the I's and U's out of your writing if you need me to do that. So I've graded all of the discussions so that I've seen posted, except for that last one, the final exam one. So if you go back and make any replies, please let me know so I'll go back and add to your grade. If I've overlooked some replies that you've made, please let me know, because I've combed through them and I don't plan on combing through them again unless you ask me to take a look at yours specifically. The final exam was released to you today, and it is available through Thursday. I'm almost positive. I can double check the date and send you an email if I'm wrong on that, but check the date. And I'll be looking at your rhetoric and meme essays, and actually I'll give you an extra credit option to format that into an MLA document, and I'll release that here in just a little bit if you want to do that, if you feel like you need extra credit. Probably the last 2 assignments that I will grade will be the mistake in a lesson, and then obviously the research paper. So let me know if you need anything. This little 3-week class goes quickly, and so it's almost over. Very, very, very exciting, and let me know if I can do anything for you.